Right.
Okay.
चलिए शुरू करते हैं पीपीएनडी। न्यू टॉपिक, वेरी सिंपल टॉपिक, स्लाइटली लेंथी टॉपिक बट नॉट अ वेरी मच डिफिकल्ट टॉपिक। सो पहले हम थोड़े बहुत बेसिक से शुरुआत करते हैं एंड then we will go towards the individual chapters in the topic. So basically what is PPND? So all your non-current tangible assets, how they are valued. So initial recognition is at cost, then you provide a depreciation during the year, you get a book value and a balance sheet date, then you test it for the impairment, and then you get a final reporting value. So this is how our chapters are also structured. You will have a something called initial recognition of the non-current asset at a cost. So this is one of your chapter. This chapter is bifurcated into two parts. Number one, your all the basic cost, and then borrowing cost. And another chapter is on depreciation. So what are the various method of depreciation? Again, I think this all things you would have studied, so it should be pretty straightforward. And cost minus depreciation, you get a book value at a reporting date. Now this book value can be tested for the impairment. This impairment can be upward impairment, can be downward impairment. And book value minus impairment, you get a final reporting. Now there could be a possibility that at this stage you can have an impairment or you can have a revaluation. I'm not sure whether revaluation is still there in your backer material. If it is there, then revaluation will also cover. If it is not there, then we will skip the revaluation part. So book value minus impairment or book value plus revaluation gives you a final reporting what fixed assets goes into the balance sheet. So we'll start with the first one, which is the initial recognition. So initial recognition of all the PPND is done at a cost. Now all the costs which are incurred,
What what is PPND?
property, plant, and equipment. It's a short form of non-current tangible fixed assets. We call it PPND, property, plant, and equipment. Now, whatever costs which are incurred to put the asset in use or make the asset ready to use, they are capitalized. So, for example, let's say you brought a television. Now, from a television, you paid a $10,000 of charges. You paid $200 for installation. You paid $100 for the transportation. So, in order for you to use the TV, actually, you paid 10,300. So, all the costs which are incurred to make sure that asset can run for the intended use, they are capitalized. Now, let's say you have purchased a property, let's say a building, a flat. So you paid a purchase price, plus let's say you paid a stamp duty, you paid a registration charges, you paid a brokerage, you paid a legal fees. So all the costs which are incurred, which help you to start using that property, flat or a building, that can be capitalized as a PPND. Now, there is a one small concept in your book which called about a land and land plus building. Land is a non-depreciable asset. Its value never goes down. So first of all, why we charge a depreciation? We charge a depreciation because it reduces the value of the asset. However, land is a non-depreciable asset, so land can never be depreciated. Now, there could be a scenario where you have purchased a land and building together. Let's say there is a one plot. A plot is on land, and you have purchased the land and a plot, or that plot and a building along with the land. So let's say you have purchased a 100 square feet of plot, and let's say you have a two-floor building on it. And to purchase this, you have paid. Let's say the cost is $100,000. You paid a legal fees of $20,000. Let's say you have paid taxes and duties of $10,000. So your total outflow is $1,30,000. Now the question is, what amount you should capitalize as a land and a building? Now, why the split is important? As I said, land is a non-depreciable asset, so you will not depreciate. But building is a depreciable asset and you will depreciate. So you need to split 1,30,000 into a land and building in the fair value ratio. So suppose in the market, if you buy this land individually, let's say you would have paid $70,000. If you would have purchased building independently, you would have paid $80,000. So total fair value $1,50,000. how much you have paid? $1,30,000. So you will just apportion the value of the land and building in the ratio of the fair value. So 1,30,000 will be apportioned in the ratio of 70 is to 80. So we can say that $60,666 they are going towards the land. 69,333 they are going towards the building. So this is called a basket purchase. Now this all are a very a simple topic which was there in the book. So I run it through. Majority of the session I want to discuss today is a borrowing cost because this is a complicated topic, even though it was covered in your BCom. So let's quickly go through the backer. Let's see all these basic concepts and then we will start with a borrowing cost, that how a borrowing cost needs to be adjusted in the value of the property, plant, equipment. So if I simply go to your module number 4, this is where we start with PP&E. So PP&E, this includes your property, plant and equipment. These are called a fixed asset or a non-current assets which are acquired in the business for the production or to generate the revenue. These are not the inventory for you. So generally they are long-term in nature. What are the kind of PP&E you can have? You can have a land, you can have a building, you can have a equipment, and accumulated depreciation. Either you can show this as a provision on a liability side or you can show as a contra asset. This is similar to how we did a bad debt provision. So either you show liability or you show a contra asset as a accumulated depreciation. Now technically all the fixed assets they are valued at a historical cost. It means the cost at which they were acquired. Now any accumulated depreciation you will reduce and you will get a book value of a particular asset. Now, let's say you have received any asset on a donation basis or you give away any asset as a donation, and at a fair market value, the assets will be recorded and any gain or a loss will be recorded in the income statement. Suppose you
What?
had a building, let's say a value of the building was $10,000. Now you decided to donate this building completely. So that means building is going out of your balance sheet. So you have a loss on donation. So your entry is loss on donation account debited to building account $10,000.
So what's donated fixed assets, the entry for that?
Loss on donation account debited to building account. So building goes out, it's your asset, goes down, means asset goes down, so asset is credited. What happens? You have a loss because earlier you had a value of the building of $10,000, you give away for free. So there is a loss. So the loss goes to the P&L and the building goes out of the balance sheet.
No, the initial entry in the book.
So you have purchased the building, so building account debited to cash account credited.
No, the one above in the book, the
Which one? Which entry?
debit fixed asset gain on
This is where you
credit.
have received the asset on a donation basis. The example which I told, it was giving away. This is asset you received. So, for example, government has given you a grant. Government has given you a land, let's say worth $10,000 for free. So it's the asset you're receiving. So asset account debited, asset goes up, and this is your gain. So gain on account of donation, which is credited to income statement. So you receive, it's a gain. You give away, it's a loss.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what is the cost can be included? So all the expenditures which are included to make sure asset is ready up and used, they are capitalized. So it could be purchase, it could be commission, it could be title fees, it could be legal fees, it could be drawing of swamps, it could be cleaning, it could be site development. Let's say you are doing a redevelopment of a building and now you want to demolish the old building. So cost of demolition, all those things you can capitalize as a cost of land. And any waste material you resell and you collect any scrap value, that can reduce the cost of your asset. So hypothetically, let's say you are capitalized, you are redeveloping a one building and the cost of demolition is $50,000. And because you have done so much of demolition, let's say there was a lot of scrap and the scrap is sold for $8,000 in the market. So what is your net cost? You incurred 42,000. So 42,000 can be capitalized as the cost of demolition item. Now, very important concept, very small, very easy to understand. A land is a non-depreciable asset. However, land improvements, they are a depreciable asset. So land improvements का मतलब क्या होता है? Anything which is prepared along with the land. So for example, you did a fencing so that thieves cannot enter or illegal entries cannot happen. or let's say you developed underground water development system, or let's say you did a pathway or a footway or a sidewalks or a lighting. So all those things which improves the value of your land, so they are land improvements. But land improvements are the depreciable asset because ultimately they are going to demolish. So for example, you created a one pathway, a footway for people to walk. So maybe they will sustain for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years. After that, you have to recreate them. So land, non-depreciable asset, but land improvements, they are a depreciable assets. The last one, interest cost, इसके ऊपर आता है. This is something called a borrowing cost. So we are not starting right now. The next point is a cost of plant. And this is not only cost of plant, I'll say cost of property, plant, equipment, anything. So all the costs which are incurred to bring the asset to its ready use, it is called a cost which can be capitalized. So it includes your purchase price. It includes any repair charges which original buyer has neglected, but to use the property at the time of purchasing, you have to do that. So it's a capitalized cost. Alterations, improvement which increases the life. So on this point again we will come in a moment. So improvements can be capitalized subject to three conditions. Number one, your life is getting increased, or number two, economic benefits are getting increased, or number three, future depreciation can go down. So if any of these three conditions are satisfied, then repairs, maintenance and improvements can be capitalized as a cost of
What
asset.
does capitalize mean?
Capitalized means it goes to the balance sheet. So for example, you did $100 of expense today. So whether you put $100 into your income statement as an expense, or whether you capitalize as an asset in your balance sheet. Okay, so if you are purchasing any property, plant, equipment, what all expenses you can capitalize? So let's say you paid $100 for building, capitalized purchase price. Let's say you paid $10 legal charges, expense but capitalized. You paid $20 of architect fees, expense but capitalized. Let's say you did some first time improvement to make sure asset is up and running, $25, expense but capitalized. So when I say something is capitalized, it means it goes to a balance sheet rather than income statement. Your normal entry would have been, let's say, legal fees account debit to cash. But if it's capitalized, the entry is building account debited to cash, or a plant account debited to cash. It goes to the asset account and not to the expense account. And that is all about this accounting standard. What cost you can capitalize. ठीक है, clear है?
Hmm.
Okay, then a small topic, basket purchase. Again, ये हमने discuss किया. If you purchase land and building together, land is a non-depreciable asset, but building is a depreciable asset. So you have to do a split. How a split will be done? Based on the appraised value, fair value, or a market value, which will be given to you in the question. Now, same way, cost of equipment, as just we saw, cost of plant. So all the expenditure which are directly related to the purchase. And now equipment includes everything: machine, furniture, fixtures, factory equipment, any fixed assets. So you are going to capitalize purchase price plus any transport charges, installation charges, non-refundable taxes and duties. इंटरेस्ट पार्ट आता है बाद में, क्या इंटरेस्ट कैपिटलाइज हो सकता है. But again, summary क्या बोलता है? When you purchase the fixed asset, any cost which are incurred which is helping you to use the asset, till that point everything can be capitalized. Once the asset is put to use or ready to use, उसके बाद the expenses will be going to your P&L. Now आपका question, what is capitalized versus what is expenses? So आपको हमेशा पहले एंट्री डिसाइड करनी है. लेट्स से लीगल एक्सपेंस, द एंट्री इज लीगल चार्जेस अकाउंट डेबिट टू कैश क्रेडिट. लेट्स से ब्रोकरेज एक्सपेंस, ब्रोकरेज अकाउंट डेबिट टू कैश क्रेडिट. सो दिस इज कॉल्ड द एक्सपेंस रिकॉर्डिंग. बट इफ समथिंग कैन बी कैपिटलाइज्ड, तो वो P&L में नहीं जाएगा, इट गोज टू द एसेट अकाउंट डायरेक्टली. सो लेट्स से फर्स्ट एंट्री, इंस्टेड ऑफ लीगल फीस टू कैश, वी से बिल्डिंग अकाउंट डेबिट टू कैश. Instead of brokerage account to cash, we say building account debited to cash. So instead of expensing them into a P&L, we take them to a balance sheet to a fixed assets account. उसको बोलते हैं capitalization. ठीक है. Now the last one, if you do any improvement, replacements or a repair to a fixed assets at the time purchase or after purchase. So let's say you purchased the one building and building is ready to use. Now after 5 years, you do a renovation to your house. Now, can that renovation expense be capitalized? So answer says yes or no, both. So when renovation expense, or it means subsequent repair, maintenance, replacements, or improvements, and whatever word you use, they can be capitalized only and only if either of the three conditions are satisfied. Number one, your building's life is getting increased. If yes, you can capitalize. It increases the useful life of the asset or the usefulness of the asset. Yes, it can be capitalized. Now, what is the difference between these two? Suppose when you purchase the building, let's say you purchased a three-bedroom apartment and your initial life was 20 years. Now you did a one terrace, you did a renovation, you changed the cements and all the civil work, and now your useful life is 25 years because you use a better material. So your property, your bedroom, your flat life increases. So it's a capitalized expense. Or let's say create usefulness. So suppose you had a three-bedroom apartment with a life of 20 years. Now you build a one more room at a terrace, which is used as an office for work from home. So now you are generating the additional income because of your extra room you constructed on your apartment. So usefulness is increasing. It's a capitalized. Or
But the
let
previous one, the increased life, they haven't capitalized.
you will capitalized. If it's a improvement, if it's increased life, it decreases the depreciation, so it's capitalized. So all this chart are expenses only this column, first column. We will come why they have done the reduced depreciation. Is it's a technical accounting treatment. इसके ऊपर बाद में आते हैं. Right now we are just focusing whether you capitalize or you don't capitalize. The second and third column means you are capitalizing. First column means you are putting the expenses. So if increases the life, increases the usefulness, both the cases you are going to capitalize. If you see the master table here, it's a capitalized box. However, if you are just doing a something which is very general in nature, let's say you just did a paint. Paint is helping you nothing. It's just help you to maintain your house. It's an expense going to the P&L. So if it's a repair, if it's an improvement, if it increases either life, usefulness, or reduces the accumulated depreciation, then you are going to capitalize the cost. Otherwise, you are going to put everything into the P&L. That is the thumb rule. Clear hai?
Repeat the last sentence.
Last is the repairs. So repairs are going to the P&L straight away unless your life is increasing. So it's capitalized. Usefulness increases, it's capitalized. Otherwise, repairs will go to the P&L. So if that's ordinary repair, like a paint, or let's say you change the utensils, or let's say uh, you just bring new furniture to the house, it's just to maintain your house, anything you have done, so it's expense. But let's say you did a some repair, which is increasing the life, capitalize. It increases the usefulness, capitalize. So thumb rule क्या बोलता है कि आपको ये चार्ट भी देखने की जरूरत नहीं है, just three parameter. Life increase capitalized, useful life increases capitalized, and depreciation decreases capitalized. ये three condition में से कुछ भी satisfy नहीं हो रहा है, and it will go to the P&L straight away. ठीक है. Now one last topic which is left, which is borrowing cost. So what I want you to go through this 3 pages again in detail. कोई भी पैराग्राफ में समझ ना आए तो मेरे को पूछ लो. Take 5 minutes. And इसके बाद हम लोग borrowing cost का एक छोटा सा एग्जांपल देखते हैं. And borrowing cost will also be clear to you. So 5 minutes to you. एक बार देख लो पूरा यहाँ तक का section in the book till the section 6.
In the improvements and replacements, they're talking about entries. We haven't discussed that.
Yes, come again, क्या बोल रहे हो? Can you share your screen? कौन से section की बात कर रहे हो?
In the book, 5 point improvements and replacements, it's in your book as well.
So whether you call it improvement, you can it replacement, or you can it repairs, whatever expenses if you are doing, then the treatment remains the same. इसकी जर्नल एंट्रीज पे अभी मत जाओ, हम लोग डिटेल में करेंगे वन एग्जांपल वेयर वी विल सी कि कब हमें अक्यूमुलेटेड डेप्रिसिएशन यूज करना है, कब हमें एसेट्स के अकाउंट यूज करना है. सो दैट्स अ बिट ऑफ टेक्निकल स्टफ जो हमने अभी तक कवर नहीं किया है.
Hmm.
ठीक है, चले आगे.
Hmm.
चलिए लास्ट टॉपिक पे चलते हैं आज के, विच इज अ स्मॉल वन, विच इज अ बोरोइंग कॉस्ट. प्रीटी इंटरेस्टिंग टॉपिक. सो बोरोइंग कॉस्ट क्या बोलता है कि इफ यू हैव acquired a property, let's say either purchased a property or constructed the property. So either you purchase or construct a property by taking a loan. So whatever interest is paid can be capitalized till the time asset is put to use. So let's build an example. Suppose you have constructed the asset, and let's say the cost of construction was 100,000. And let's say you have started construction on was January 2025, and let's say you have ended the construction on 31st December 2026. So total you have taken 24 months. And let's say in order to construct this particular asset, you have taken a bank loan. Let's say bank loan was 1 lakh, and let's say it was taken at a rate of 10%. So let's say your annual interest for year one, let's say, was $10,000, and let's say year two was $9,000. Now, the question is, what happens for this interest? So your journal entry for the interest expense is interest expense debit to cash credit. For the first year, it's 10,000. For the second year, it's 9,000. But the accounting standard says if certain conditions are met, then rather than going to an interest expense in P&L, you can capitalize a certain cost. Now, what are those conditions? So accounting standard says, number one, you have taken a loan or a borrowing to purchase or a construct a qualifying asset. Now, what is qualifying asset? Qualifying asset which takes a substantial time to develop for its intended use. Generally, 12 months or more. So if you purchase or construct the asset which is going to take more than 12 months of time, and you have taken any loan and you are using that loan amount to purchase or construct the asset, then yes, you may capitalize. So that's the first condition. Second, you have to check how much expenses are used out of the loan. And third, you have to check for any suspension period or a completion period. So let's discuss one by one all these things in the same example. Suppose you have taken a $1 lakh of loan and you want to construct the asset of 1 lakh, and you started the construction on 1st January ending on 31st December. Now, can I say, okay, I'm not going to use entire $1 lakh on day one? Maybe for the first day, I'm just preparing the plane, then maybe first floor, second floor, third floor, and so on. So my 1 lakh is getting utilized over a period of time. So what I want, first of all, I need to check whether my asset is a qualifying asset or not. If I'm taking more than 12 months, yes, it's a qualifying asset. Second, how much expenses I'm incurring. So let's just hope, hypothetically, during the year one, we have incurred $65,000 of expense, and during the year two, we have incurred additional $35,000 of expense. So total year one plus year two, $1 lakh of expense are incurred. Now, what accounting standard says that you can capitalize the interest for the period the money is actually used for the construction purpose. Now, can I say for year one, even though I have taken a full loan of 1 lakh, I have only used 65% in the construction. So my interest which can be capitalized, it's maximum 65%. So my annual interest is $10,000. Now I can capitalize 65%, which means 6,500 I can capitalize as a interest expense. So what will be my new journal entry now? My new entry will be asset account debited 6,500, interest expense account debited 3,500, to cash account 10,000. Now let's say during the year two, I have
What
बोलो.
interest calculation नहीं समझ रही थी. Interest expense 3,500. What?
So आपका टोटल इंटरेस्ट एक्सपेंस आपने कितना बैंक को पे किया? 10,000. अब क्वेश्चन है कि 10,000 में से मैं कितना कैपिटलाइज करूं, कितना P&L में छोड़ दूं. सो आई डिसाइडेड कि 65% आउट ऑफ 1 लाख का लोन मैंने 65% यूज किया था कंस्ट्रक्शन के लिए. सो अप टू 65% आई कैन यूटिलाइज इन द कैपिटलाइजेशन. सो 10,000 का 65%, 6,500 goes to the asset account. Remaining 3,500 remains to the interest account, and cash account credited by 10,000, which is the actual interest I'm paying to the bank. ठीक है. Now going to the second year. Second year में क्या हो रहा है कि I am constructing the asset more. 65,000 तो मैंने year one में कर लिया था. Now I'm using another 35,000 as well. So now can I say during the year two, my entire $1 lakh remain invested in my construction asset? So whatever bank loan I have taken for 1 lakh, entire loan had remained utilized into my construction area. So what is the utilization percentage? So 65,000 done in the year one, Additional 35,000 done in year 2. So out of the entire 1 lakh loan, I'm using entire 1 lakh loan into my construction area. So entire 100% interest now I can capitalize. So year 2 interest is $9,000. I can capitalize entire 100%. So my entry will be asset account debited 9,000 to cash account 9,000. Nothing goes to the P&L as a second year interest expense. इसको बोलते हैं borrowing cost. Now there are a lot of specific condition into this जो हम book में देखते हैं, but this is a base, a logic which I just created कि how a borrowing cost actually works. Clear है basic example में? Now there are certain conditions जो अगर हम book में देखेंगे, it says that if you suspend the construction for a particular period, let's say there was a lot of rain happened in the last 3 months and you decided to stop the construction for 6 months of period. So if a construction is paused or suspended, then interest cannot be capitalized for such paused or a cancelled duration. Another point, this is the example where you take a specific loan. So you have a asset of $1 lakh to take and you have a loan of $1 lakh. Maybe it may be possible that company has a 10 different loans which are running. They are not taking any additional loan, but they are using the already loans which are running to purchase or construct the asset. So if you take a loan for a specific asset, it is called a specific loan. So this is the example of specific loan. You may have a case where you have a general loans which are running, which are used to purchase the asset. So let's say if you have a 3 loans, 33,000 each, which you use to fund the particular asset, and first of all, you have to calculate a weighted average interest rate. So all these things we will see in the example. All are very simple things. But before that, are you clear with the concept? What is borrowing cost?
Yes.
चलिए अब बुक पे देखते हैं एंड वॉट एवर एग्जाम्पल वी एनकाउंटर हम लोग उनको देखते हैं. थियरी आई एम स्किपिंग राइट नाउ. एक बार प्रैक्टिकल करेंगे देन थियरी विल बी इजी टू गो थ्रू. Let's understand example number 1. On January 1, year 1, a Sea Soup Kitchen Incorporation signed a fixed year contract to have a new kitchen built for $1 million. On the same day, you have borrowed a 500,000 for financing the construction. So let's just open a new tab. Let me just do a little bit of formatting. So what we are saying, my cost to purchase is 1 million. And let's say I have a specific borrowings. So this is my specific loan I have taken is 5 lakh. The loan is payable in 100,000 of 5 annual installment plus 11% rate of interest. So my rate of interest is 11% on this specific loan. Now, C company is planning to finance the balance construction by using the company's existing debts, for which average rate of interest is 9%. So 500K you are funding from a specific new loan, and remaining 500K you are funding from your general loans which are available, which are taken in the past, and rate of interest on the general loans are 9%. During the year 1, you have used a 600,000 of expenditure. So during the year 1, you started your business, you started constructing this particular kitchen, and the expenses which are incurred are 600,000. So 1 million is a total budget. You have incurred a 600,000 of expenses. So these are expenses towards your kitchen development. And in your P&L, your total interest expense for the year is 1,50,000. This is again given in the question, the last line. And company has incurred the actual interest cost on all the borrowings which company has. Let's say company has a 25 loans running, and the total interest cost of 25 loans are 1,50,000. A question is, in the year 1, how much interest you can capitalize? So to solve, I'll give you a template. You have to use a template always. It will give you the right answer. So step number 1, you have to calculate the interest rate. So if it's a specific loan, my interest rate is simple 11%, but I have a specific plus general as well. So this is my first step. Step number 2, calculate the loan utilization. And step number 3, decide how much to capitalize. So let's calculate interest rate. So you have a specific loan, you have a general loan. What is the loan amount? 500,000 for both. So this is my loan amount. What is the interest rate and what is my interest expense? So my interest rate is 11%, my interest rate is 9%. Now question doesn't say any specific dates of interest or anything, so we'll assume for entire year. So loan amount into interest expense. So my total interest expense is 1 lakh and my total loan was 1 million. So what is my weighted average rate? So my weighted, this is my interest expense and this is my loan amount. So can I say my weighted rate of interest across the loan are 10%? यहाँ तक clear है? Yes, no, yes, no. यहाँ तक clear है weighted average rates?
We divided what with what?
Total loan amount.
1 million divided by 100,000 or 100,000 divided by 1 million?
कैसे आएगा आप बताओ लॉजिक से पहले?
100,000
बस
divided by 1.
वही किया है, D divided by B. Now, second, loan utilization. So whenever you have utilized a loan, you have to decide how utilization have taken place. So your total expenses are 600,000. Now you have to decide how loan is utilized. If loan is utilized from the specific purpose, then specific rate of interest will apply. Otherwise, general rate of interest will apply. So by default, logic says, common sense says that if you have taken a loan to specific loan to do a specific task, the first of all, the money will go out from a specific purpose. So my utilization starts like this. My specific loan is used for 500,000. This is the amount of loan I have taken. Second, my general loan, my total expenses are 600,000. But out of 600,000, 500,000 is funded by specific loan. So how much is funded by a general loan? So a general loan is giving me a funding of 100,000. So how interest can be capitalized? So 500,000 is a specific loan. So I have a specific rate of interest, which is 11%. General loan, it has a general rate of interest, which is 9%. So how much I can, what is my interest expense here? So 500,000 into 11% and 100,000 into 9%. So this is the amount which can be capitalized. Now during the year, what is my total interest expense? My total interest expense is 1,50,000. How much I'm capitalizing? So I'm capitalizing 55,000 and 9,000. So this is getting capitalized. So how much is going to charge to P&L? I'm going to charge to P&L 86,000. So this is how you are going to do the simulation. You can be asked to calculate weighted average borrowing rate across all the loans. So step 1 is your answer. You can be asked to calculate what is the amount can be capitalized. Step 2 is your answer. Or you can ask what is the amount that goes to the P&L. And step 1 plus step 2 plus step 3, you have to come till charge to P&L section.
Step
Clear?
one is step one is not necessary unless they ask.
Unless they ask. This is the template I give you. मतलब हर एक example इससे बाहर कुछ नहीं आ सकता. So suppose they just ask you कि what is the company's weighted average borrowing rate. So total weighted average rate is 10%. Suppose अगर आपको ऐसा बोला जाता है कि there is no specific loan. You have a general loan 1 and then you have a general loan 2. Now in that situation, either you can use the same logic, same formula, or you can straight away use a 10% rate because there is nothing specific. Everything is general. So वो example आएगा तब देखेंगे, but this template is going to help you out to solve all the possible problems in this chapter.
Okay.
ठीक है, चलिए बुक पे आते हैं. एक बार example number 1 आप देख लो. I am again not going into a theory. We'll just assume 3 things. Number 1, the date on which you started the expenses, that is the start date. The date when asset is ready, it's your end date. अगर बीच में कुछ suspension होता है, then you cannot capitalize the interest for the suspended period. And then you have to remember this template. Let's solve the practical first और उसके बाद हम theory पे जाते हैं. So it will be easy. So over to you. Illustration number 1 एक बार check करो. If you are confident तो हम लोग scroll back करेंगे theories पे again. So over to you. Illustration number 1.
I'm not being able to understand how they are doing this.
आप पढ़ना शुरू करो, क्या समझ में नहीं आ रहा है बताओ।
तो स्ट्रेट अवे ने कैसे डिसाइड किया एक्सपेंस करेंगे?
पढ़ना शुरू करो, क्वेश्चन
I did.
पढ़ो, फर्स्ट पॉइंट।
Purchased 1 million parcel of land for speculation, paid
होल्ड
600.
करो यहाँ पर। इज लैंड is the land taking a substantial period of time to getting developed, or land you have purchased it's ready to use straight away? Is it a qualifying asset?
Doesn't mention anything.
आप लॉजिक बताओ। आपने एक लैंड परचेस कर लिया, सो इज लैंड, आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट लैंड के ऊपर आप कुछ डेवलप कर रहे हो नहीं कर रहे हो। अगर डेवलप कर रहे हो तो वो बिल्डिंग में चला जाएगा, बट लैंड इज अ क्वालिफाइंग असेट। क्वालिफाइंग असेट क्या होता है कि विच टेक्स टाइम टू गेट रेडी फॉर इट्स इंटेंडेड यूज। डज लैंड टेक एनी टाइम टू गेट रेडी फॉर इट्स इंटेंडेड यूज?
No.
ठीक है, तो वॉट एवर इंटरेस्ट यू हैव इनकर्ड, तो आपने 1 मिलियन का लैंड परचेस करने के लिए अपनी पॉकेट से 600 के दिया, और 400 के का आपने लोन लिया। वो लोन के ऊपर आपने 8000 का इंटरेस्ट पे किया। सो कैन यू कैपिटलाइज द इंटरेस्ट और विल इट गो टू P&L? कैन यू कैपिटलाइज द इंटरेस्ट और विल इट गो टू P&L? कैपिटलाइज आप कर सकते हो, कब कर सकते हो? व्हेन नंबर 1 इट्स अ क्वालिफाइंग एसेट, नंबर 2 आपके पास इंफॉर्मेशन है स्पेसिफिक लोन वर्सेस जनरल लोन का, नंबर 3 आप कैलकुलेशंस कर रहे हो। बट सबसे पहला पॉइंट क्या ये क्वालिफाइंग एसेट है? इफ नो, तो फिर ये सारे चीजों का कोई मतलब ही नहीं बनता है। स्ट्रेट अवे यू,
Qualifying asset का criteria क्या है?
सॉरी कम अगेन।
Qualifying assets criteria.
An asset which takes a substantial period of time to get ready for its intended use, it means 12 months or more। जिसको 12 मंथ से ज्यादा का टाइम लगने वाला है टू गेट रेडी, फॉर एग्जांपल आप बिल्डिंग बना रहे हो, कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ द बिल्डिंग, इट टेक्स अ सब्सटेंशियल पीरियड ऑफ टाइम। सो यस, or let's say you are building a specific plant and machinery for 36 months, yes, but let's say आपने television purchase किया, now do you need a 12 months or more time to start watching television? No, जैसे ही आपका आएगा 2 दिन में इंस्टॉल होगा, थर्ड डे पे आप इसको देखना शुरू कर दोगे। so it's not a qualifying asset। सेम गोस फॉर लैंड। आपने लैंड परचेस कर लिया, कल कल आप आ जाओ, चेयर लगा के बैठ जाओ लैंड पे, इट्स रेडी टू यूज। हाँ, लैंड के ऊपर अगर आप कुछ डेवलप कर रहे हो, लैंड इंप्रूवमेंट्स या बिल्डिंग, तो वो बिल्डिंग या लैंड इंप्रूवमेंट्स में भी अ क्वालिफाइंग एसेट। ठीक है, क्लियर है फर्स्ट पॉइंट? तो आपने जो इंटरेस्ट पे किया फर्स्ट पॉइंट पे, दैट इज गोइंग टू P&L एंड दैट इज नॉट कैपिटलाइज्ड।
Okay.
चलिए नेक्स्ट पे चलते हैं। फिर आपने क्या किया कि 2nd of March को यू हैव मेड अ डिसीजन टू बिल्ड अ सम प्रोजेक्ट ऑन दिस लैंड एंड यू हैव डन अ सर्टेन एक्सपेंसेस टू गेट द लीगल परमिट्स। ठीक है, मतलब इट्स जस्ट इंफॉर्मेशन, उन्होंने कुछ भी नहीं बोला है। इसके बाद अगेन यू हैव अ इंटरेस्ट कॉस्ट ऑफ $8000। नाउ आप मुझे बताओ, आपने 2nd of May को स्टार्ट किया एक बिल्डिंग बनाना वो प्रोजेक्ट के ऊपर। नाउ यहाँ पर एक एस्ट्रिक मार्क दिया हुआ है, लेट्स रीड व्हाट इज दैट एस्ट्रिक मार्क। एस्ट्रिक मार्क बोल रहा है कि कंस्ट्रक्शन पीरियड आपका शुरू हो चुका है व्हेन द डिसीजन इज मेड, आपको कंस्ट्रक्शन कब करना है, व्हिच इज 2nd of March। तो आपने बिल्डिंग बनाना शुरू कर दिया ऑन 2nd of March एंड इट इज गोइंग टू बी रेडी आफ्टर अ सब्सटेंशियल पीरियड ऑफ टाइम ओनली। नाउ कैन आई से कि आपने अब वहां पर एक बिल्डिंग बनाना शुरू कर दिया और वो बिल्डिंग लेने वाला है सब्सटेंशियल पीरियड ऑफ टाइम, सो इट्स अ क्वालिफाइंग एसेट नाउ। यस,
Yes.
so now the interest which is paid after the building has started getting a construction, that is a qualifying asset, so you can capitalize the interest cost and it will be debited to the building account। यहाँ तक आप क्वेश्चन को फॉलो कर रहे हो?
Yes, but don't we have to calculate how much of interest we can capitalize?
सी ये इलस्ट्रेशन है, इलस्ट्रेशन का मतलब दे आर जस्ट टेस्टिंग योर कॉन्सेप्ट्स। यहाँ पर मैथमेटिक्स इज नॉट इम्पोर्टेंट। मैथमेटिक्स के लिए आपके पास बैकर में एग्जांपल्स है। इलस्ट्रेशन का मतलब आपने जो कॉन्सेप्ट सीखा है, जस्ट गो थ्रू द फ्लो। 8000 कैसे आया, क्यों आया, दैट इज नॉट रिलेवेंट राइट नाउ। उसके लिए आपके पास ये एग्जांपल्स है जहां पर वो आपको स्पेसिफिक मैथ्स पूछता है कैलकुलेट करने के लिए. Illustration in the backer material means you just go through the concept whether the things are right or not. कहां से भी अमाउंट आ रहा है that is not our concern right now. क्योंकि हमारे पास कोई डिटेल्स नहीं है कि कितना एक्सपेंस था, हमने कब इसको इनकर करना शुरू किया. अगर इसको हम लॉजिकली सोचे 4 लाख का आपका लोन है, 12% इज 48,000. सो 48,000 मतलब महीने का हो गया 4,000. सो फॉर मार्च टू अप्रैल 2 मंथ्स का हो गया 4,000 इंटू 2 8,000. So logically it's matching, yes, but question is not about you calculate the figures. The question is कि आपको कैपिटलाइज करना है कि आपको एक्सपेंस करना है, वो कॉन्सेप्ट आपके क्लियर है कि नहीं है. ठीक है. उसके बाद आपको सेकंड में को कुछ परमिट्स मिल गई, आर्किटेक्ट्स ने प्लान पे काम करना शुरू कर दिया, दैट्स ओके, असेट इज स्टिल गेटिंग डेवलप्ड. फिर आपने 1 सितंबर को बिगिन किया ग्रेडिंग एंड डेवलपिंग ऑफ द लैंड एंड फाउंडेशन, एंड देन यू हैव पेड अ 4 मंथ्स ऑफ इंटरेस्ट. तो अगेन आपका असेट अभी रेडी टू यूज नहीं हुआ है. सो वट एवर इंटरेस्ट यू आर पेइंग टिल द टाइम asset is ready to use, they are capitalized. So again 16,000 is capitalized because asset is not yet ready for use. इसके बाद क्या हुआ, 2 सितंबर को आपने कुछ एक्सपेंसेस पे किए फॉर अटर्नी, आर्किटेक्ट, लैंड डेवलपमेंट एक्सेट्रा एवरीथिंग. और ये मनी भी आपने पे की 4 लाख की जो आपने लोन ली थी उससे, विच इज अ क्वालिफाइंग एसेट राइट नाउ. आपका एसेट अभी भी कंप्लीट नहीं हुआ है फॉर इट्स इंटेंडेड यूज. सो अगेन वॉट एवर इंटरेस्ट इज चार्ज दे विल बी कैपिटलाइज्ड. तो नेट में हम समरी क्या बोल रहे हैं कि अप टू 2 मार्च आपके पास सिर्फ लैंड थी. लैंड इज नॉट अ क्वालिफाइंग एसेट. तो अप टू 2 मार्च आपने जो भी इंटरेस्ट इनकर किया दैट गोस टू द P&L. जैसे ही आपने एक बिल्डिंग बनाना शुरू किया लैंड के ऊपर, द बिल्डिंग इज अ क्वालिफाइंग एसेट. अब जब तक वो बिल्डिंग बन के रेडी नहीं हो जाती, वहां तक का जो भी पीरियड है, जब बिल्डिंग का काम शुरू हुआ और बिल्डिंग कंप्लीट हो जाएगी, वो बिटवीन का जो टाइम है दैट्स अ क्वालिफाइंग एसेट का टाइम. वहां पर जो भी इंटरेस्ट होगा वो P&L में नहीं जाएगा बट वो कैपिटलाइज होगा, विच इज योर आइटम नंबर 8,000, 16,000 एंड 28,000. सो आपने टोटल.
Where
हाँ बोलिए.
where are the expenses for the attorney going?
अगेन आप क्वेश्चन में कहा दिया है बताओ मुझे.
No, there's no amount for capitalizing
They will
expense.
go to a building account. Until the time हमने क्या देखा कि आप आपकी कॉस्ट ऑफ एसेट में क्या क्या इंक्लूड करोगे. ऑल द परचेस कॉस्ट, you are going to have all the purchase cost, all the expenses which are making asset ready for its use, and lastly plus interest cost. So all these concepts which we are learning right now, they are the interest cost expenses. अगर हम बुक पे भी वापस आते हैं, so what we are saying कि हम लोग क्या क्या कैपिटलाइज कर सकते हैं. परचेस प्राइस, रिपेयर चार्जेस, अल्टरेशन इंप्रूवमेंट जहां पर 3 कंडीशन में से कोई एक फुलफिल होती है, आर्किटेक्ट फी, प्लस एनी कंस्ट्रक्शन पीरियड का इंटरेस्ट. सो वी आर लर्निंग दिस टॉपिक, हाउ द इंटरेस्ट इज कैलकुलेटेड. और इवन इक्विपमेंट, परचेस प्राइस, फ्रेट, इंस्टॉलेशन चार्जेस, नॉन रिफंडेबल टैक्सेस, प्लस पॉसिबल कंस्ट्रक्शन पीरियड एक्सपेंस. तो हमारे एग्जांपल में बाय डिफॉल्ट आर्किटेक्ट की फीस है, लीगल की फीस है, ब्रोकरेज है, स्टैम्प है, एनी एक्सपेंसेस दे आर गोइंग टू बी कैपिटलाइज्ड ओनली. बट राइट नाउ द एग्जांपल इज मोर फोकसिंग ऑन इंटरेस्ट एस्पेक्ट, कि जो इसके ऊपर आपने इंटरेस्ट भी इनकर किया है, क्या वो इंटरेस्ट कैपिटलाइज होगा, मतलब वो एसेट अकाउंट में जाएगा, या वो इंटरेस्ट एक्सपेंस है या एक्सपेंस अकाउंट P&L में जाएगा. So all these expenses of attorney, architect, land development, everything will be capitalized only. However, the main purpose to know is क्या interest expense जो है क्या वो capitalize होगा या वो P&L में जाएगा. ठीक है, क्लियर है.
Mm.
So this ends your first chapter of the PP&E. We'll stop here. आप एक बार
For
theory
year two,
कर सकते हो. Sorry,
for year two in the illustration.
year 2 कहाँ पर illustration दिया है इसको.
See illustration में year two है.
So year 2 they have again given the logic, they have not given the numbers, but let's go through quickly the line. For example, आपने एक कंस्ट्रक्शन स्टॉप कर दिया which is unintentional delay for a small duration of time. So you can still capitalize. For example, आपका बहुत ज्यादा बारिश गिर गई, 7 days के लिए काम बंद रहा, that's okay. It's a normal delay in a big project, that's unintentional delay, you can still capitalize the interest. However, let's say बहुत बारिश गिरी, आपके लेबर्स लोग चले गए, for 6 months the work is stopped now. आप कुछ नहीं कर पा रहे हो, इट्स अ बिग कॉस्ट एंड इंटरेस्ट विल गो टू द P&L. लेट्स से कि आपके लेबर्स लोगों ने स्ट्राइक कर दिया है लेकिन कंस्ट्रक्शन चालू है अभी भी, सो अगेन इंटरेस्ट विल बी कैपिटलाइज्ड बिकॉज आपका काम चल रहा है. और लेट्स से देयर इज अ इंटेंशनल डिले अगर हो रहा है बिकॉज ऑफ सम glut हैपनिंग इन द मार्केट, सम स्ट्राइक्स हैपनिंग इन द मार्केट, और लेबर ने इंटेंशनली काम डिले कर दिया, योर कंस्ट्रक्शन इज नाउ ऑफिशियली पॉज्ड फॉर अ लॉन्गर पीरियड ऑफ टाइम, लेट्स से अप्रैल से लेकर अगस्त तक, ऑलमोस्ट 4 months, सो इंटरेस्ट इज गोइंग टू P&L. इसके बाद आपने अगस्त में रीस्टार्ट कर दिया कंस्ट्रक्शन, तो अगस्त के बाद वापस जो इंटरेस्ट आएगा वो कैपिटलाइज्ड हो जाएगा. नाउ लेट्स से 1 अक्टूबर को आपने एसेट कंप्लीट कर दी फॉर फर्स्ट फ्लोर 1 to 3. उसके बाद आपकी जो टोटल थी 10 स्टोरी की बिल्डिंग, अब आपको क्या करना है, जितना पार्ट आपका बिल्डिंग का रेडी हो चुका है उसके लिए आप जो इंटरेस्ट बाद में इनकर करना शुरू करोगे वो आपका P&L में चला जाएगा, और जो भी पार्ट अभी भी कंस्ट्रक्ट हो रहा है विच मीन्स फ्लोर नंबर 4 टू फ्लोर नंबर 10, वो स्टिल आप कैपिटलाइज कर पाओगे. एंड वंस द बिल्डिंग इज फुल्ली कंप्लीटेड, उसके बाद आपका सारा का सारा इंटरेस्ट P&L में ही जाएगा. So it's again
Why
typical walkthrough.
why would we incur interest for the things that are already completed?
इंटरेस्ट तो आप इनकर करोगे ना, बैंक लोन आपने कहाँ वापस किया है, इंटरेस्ट कब बंद होगा, जब आप लोन बंद करोगे, लोन को रीपे करोगे, राइट. सो फॉर एग्जांपल आपने यही एग्जांपल में $4 लाख का लोन लिया है जो आप 15th ईयर पे रीपे करने वाले हो, तो आपको 15 साल तक इंटरेस्ट तो पे करना पड़ेगा ना बैंक को. जस्ट थिंक कि वो कैपिटलाइज नहीं होगा, वो P&L में जाएगा. ऑल द क्वेश्चन इन दिस चैप्टर इज आपका जो इंटरेस्ट है क्या वो P&L में जाए या क्या वो कैपिटलाइज हो, दैट इज ओनली द क्वेश्चन. अगर वो क्वालिफाइंग एसेट है, एक्सपेंसेस इनकर्ड हो चुके हैं, सस्पेंशन नहीं है, तो टिल द टाइम द असेट इज रेडी वहां तक का इंटरेस्ट है वो आप कैपिटलाइज कर सकते हो. उसके बाद जो भी इंटरेस्ट होगा वो P&L में ही रहेगा. So all the question in this chapter is whether you capitalize the interest or you put in P&L. इंटरेस्ट तो तब बंद होगा जब आप आपका लोन रीपे कर दोगे, राइट. बैंक थोड़ी ऐसा बोलेगा कि आपसे इंटरेस्ट मत दो आप मुझे.
How will we divide it by the floors? Will we just divide the amount by the number of floors?
जनरली, और ये आपको क्वेश्चन में स्पेसिफिक इंफॉर्मेशन दिया होगा, मे बी कारपेट एरिया, मे बी स्क्वायर फीट, और मे बी स्पेसिफिक अमाउंट. अगर नहीं है तो बाय फ्लोर यू कैन डिवाइड. क्योंकि जनरली आपका कंस्ट्रक्शन इंडस्ट्री में क्या होता है कि जो यूजेज परमिशन है वो फ्लोर वाइज मिलती है. तो सपोज यू हैव अ 40 स्टोरी बिल्डिंग, आपने फर्स्ट 5 फ्लोर कर दिए, यू अप्लाई फॉर द परमिशन, 5 फ्लोर्स आर डन, लोग रहने के लिए आ जाएंगे. एंड लेट्स से 6 to 25th अगेन यू अप्लाई फॉर द परमिशन, लोग रहने के लिए आ जाएंगे. एंड 25 to 33 एंड 33 to 40. So as and when the floors are completed, you get the permission. So generally in the construction industry, you will have a partial completion of projects as well.
Okay.
ठीक है, सो विल कॉल इट अ डे. गो थ्रू द PDF अगेन टुमारो सेम टाइम वी विल रीमीट. इसमें कोई क्वेश्चन है तो वो देखेंगे, अदरवाइज विल
Which
जंप
time?
टू द सेकंड.
The normal time, right?
नो सेम टाइम 4 to 5, बिकॉज मैं अभी भी मेडिसिन लूंगा 15 days के लिए, सो आई वोंट बी एबल टू वेक अप अर्ली.
ये मेरे लिए बहुत उल्टा पड़ रहा है.
आई अंडरस्टैंड, बट आपको थोड़ा एडजस्ट करना पड़ेगा फॉर द कपल ऑफ वीक्स टाइम, जब तक आई एम नॉट अप एंड रनिंग अगेन. फिर हम वी कैन बैक टू द नॉर्मल टाइम.
Uh, I cannot do this on Thursday. I have
सॉरी, थर्सडे को नहीं कर पाओगे.
yes, I have to go somewhere.
चलो, नो प्रॉब्लम. सो लेट्स मीट टुमारो, वेडनेसडे, देन फ्राइडे. सो थैंक्स, बाय.